going on, everybody, and welcome back to the latest episode of Combat Tips Season 3. As the title would suggest, we are going to be covering all of Liu Kang's brutalities, those of which are available as of this video's release date. If there's any particular brutality that you would like to learn and just skip right to, feel free to hop on down to either the comments or the description where you can find timestamps to help you get to any of the brutalities featured in today's video. Here we are, as usual, folks, on the character customization screen, and that is to show you that as of this video's release date, there are 17 out of 17 finishers for Liu Kang, meaning today we will be covering 7 different brutalities. Once again, folks, if you're here just to learn one or two particular brutalities, feel free to hop on down below, where again, you'll find timestamps to help you get to any of the ones featured in today's video. That said, let's start off with the Classic. I'll see you guys there. Alright folks, starting off easy today, this is the Classic. Every character obviously has it, so it's pretty common to see this one performed. That said, we'll cover it anyways just to make sure if you've come for one tutorial, you get it all in one place. Now, you want to make sure that you do not block an attack during the final round, and to clarify, the final round can be either round 2 or 3. It's whatever round you as a player are going to be victorious on. Next up, you want to finish your opponent with an uppercut, which is going to be down Y or down triangle on the PlayStation, and you want to make sure to hold the respective button that you use to activate that brutality. So again, either Y or triangle, you want to make sure you hold that during the uppercut. Now that we've got the criteria down, let's go ahead and give you guys a quick example. Alrighty folks, so we're going to come right out of the gate with an uppercut, and that is either going to be down Y or down triangle, and it should look just like that. Very easy, very simple. Now again, the game does say that you cannot block on your victorious round. However, just to let you know, as you can see here, I'm going to do a couple blocks, just to let you know that it's okay if you accidentally push the block button. Just don't take any damage while doing the block action. Alright everybody, so let's move in for our final strike here. One more reminder, we want to finish the opponent with an uppercut, which is down Y or down triangle. Make sure not to block an attack on the final round, should you hit the block button by accident. As you can see, that's okay. And while you're doing that uppercut, make sure to hold either triangle or Y, depending on your respective controller. So here we go, you guys. Finishing with an uppercut, no blocks. There we have it. Easy enough, folks. Very easy brutality. As I've said it before, every character's got it, but I like to cover them just to make sure that every character gets pretty much everything covered for them. If you want to see just one person, you don't have to go to every tutorial just to see this particular brutality. So there we have it, folks. On to the next one. Alright, friends, so this next one is called Get Chucked, and it will require that you have the Kusari Slam in your arsenal, so do make sure you've got this ready to rumble if you want to perform this brutality. In regards to our criteria, what you have to worry about is keeping your health above 50%, and then when you go in for that final hit, you want to make sure it comes from that Kusari Slam that we've added to your arsenal, and during that attack, you have to hold forward. Let's go ahead and show you guys what it should look like. Alright folks, so the Kusari Slam may be a little bit tricky for some, only because it is a 3-directional input before the actual action button. That said, all you really have to do is down, back, forward, Y, or down, back, forward, triangle, and if you get it right, it'll look just like that. Now, do be quick with these inputs. You have to be quick enough, because if you're not, as you can see, it's just not going to input properly. If you're not quick enough with your inputs, it's just not going to work. So here we go. Easy enough. Down, back, forward, Y, or down, back, forward, triangle, and you will get the Kusari Slam. Simple enough. Okay, folks, so we can move in for our final strike, as you can see here. Just a reminder, you do want to make sure you have more than 50% of your health when you go to perform this brutality, and if you need a little bit of a kind of a notification as to where that is, you can see up here in the middle of our health bar, this notch here marks the 50% area, and as you can see just above it, there's a little bump too, which also kind of helps you know that you're at the center area, the 50% mark of the health bar. That all said, we're going to go ahead and finish our opponent with a Kusari Slam, down, back, forward, Y, or down, back, forward, triangle, and you want to make sure to hold forward during that action. Let's go ahead and move in for it, you guys. Holding forward, and
Brutality.
Simple enough. Rip their jaw off with some nunchucks. It's extra spurty today. Jesus. So yeah, it's definitely not one of the more flashy ones, but it is more stylish, if that makes sense. It's not as gory and bloody, but it does have a style of uniqueness to Liu Kang, in that only he could really do this with his nunchucks. He's the only one rocking nunchucks in the game. So if you're looking for something swift, but that gets the point through to your opponent, this is definitely one of those brutalities. On to the next one, folks. Alright, folks, so next up we have the 1-inch Death Strike. Now, this brutality will require that you have the Dragon Parry move in your arsenal, so be sure to have this set up if you want to perform this brutality. As for our requirements, you want to make sure to connect at least 2 Dragon Parries during the match, which could be rounds 1, 2, or 3. It doesn't matter so long as you accumulate at least 2 Dragon Parries before you move in for that final hit, which of course means our final hit itself is also going to be coming from a Dragon Parry. So, let's go ahead and show you guys exactly what this should look like. Alrighty folks, so a Dragon Parry, that is going to be down back A or down back X, like so. However, this is of course only half the equation here. We need the opponent to actually strike us to get the parry animation. So, let's go up again and do it next to Devora with a little bit of interaction this time. And as you can see, boom, we got the parry, and as long as you can get up in your opponent's face and time their attacks and make sure they don't overtime you, and by that I mean you can go here and boom. As you can see, as long as Devora knows when that animation ends, she can still move in. So it's really a matter of trying to interpret your opponent's attacks as opposed to letting them interpret you, okay? So try and let them be the aggressor in this situation, because you know when you parry, they'll go in and boom, you got them just like that. Now, for the sake of this brutality, we do want to make sure we get 2 Dragon Parries, so let's go ahead and just show that off on camera. Here's one, easy enough, and let's go in for number 2 here, you guys. There we have it. We have 2 Dragon Parries leading up to our brutality, and do keep in mind, these have to be before the brutality. You can't get one during the fights and then count the second one as the brutality. It will not work. You have to make sure that when you go in for the brutality, it is technically the 3rd Dragon Parry at the very minimum that you land. So, let's go ahead and show you guys what this final hit should look like. Alright folks, so assuming you have followed the criteria all appropriately up to this point, 2 Dragon Parries before going in for that final hit, this brutality shouldn't be any problem. Again, we're going to go in, make sure our final hit itself comes from yet another Dragon Parry, and if all of the pieces of this puzzle fit together properly, our final animation should look a little something like this. Ooh, I love this one. I believe it's a reference to the 1-inch punch, which was made famous by martial artist Bruce Lee, but correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm incorrect on that, but I do believe that is kind of the, even just the inspiration for Liu Kang's character in general. So, if you like real-world references like that, this is definitely a very cool brutality to check out. On to the next one. Alrighty folks, so we're moving on to what is probably one of my favorite brutalities in MK11 thus far. This one is called Insert Coin. Now, in order to do this one, you are going to have to perform a mercy on your opponent, and if you don't know how to do that, I will show you later. Beyond that, however, all you have to worry about is performing a back throw to defeat your opponent, and that's really all there is to it. Mercy and a back throw, and you can perform this brutality. Let me show you what it should look like right now. So we're going to start off with the throw here, and everyone usually knows what a throw is, but just to clarify, we need to do a back throw, which is either going to be L1 or left button, and it should look just like that. So long as you don't push any direction during this action, it'll always result in a back throw, like so. If you're worried, if you don't think it's going to actually work, you're always welcome to push backwards as well, like so. But as far as I've ever seen, so long as you're not directing it to be a forward throw like this, you will always get a back throw by default by pushing, boom, that button. It'll do its thing. As I've mentioned in the past, for some of you more arcade-style players, you can also use square and X on the PlayStation or X and A on the Xbox if you would like to do a throw with a more traditional arcade-style feel. And again, you push that combination of buttons, boom, like so, and you get another throw. So it's really up to you how you like playing, what feels better to you. I use L1. Some people may prefer to use the 2-button combination. You make your decision. Alright folks, so a mercy. For those of you who don't know, a mercy is essentially the ability to give your opponent back some health after you've gone to the finish him screen. Why would you do this? A, because you know you're going to be able to take it back anyways and humiliate them further, or B, because a brutality like this requires it. So how do you do the actual mercy? First, you need to get to medium distance. I like to gauge it. For those of you who aren't good at gauging, I know how to do it myself pretty well. I would say this is about medium distance right here. But for those of you who may be flustered about it or not sure how to measure that properly, I usually would suggest go up to against the opponent and do 2 backdashes. 1, 2, and that's about medium distance. So if you're not confident in your personal placement, you can get up to against the opponent. 1, 2. So that's about medium distance. Our second step, we need to hold down the flip stance button, which is either L2 or left trigger, like so. And you know you push the right one if you can get your boy to do a little dance like that. Easy enough. If you can hold that down, you're good. And lastly, we need to push down 3 times. 1, 2, 3. But it has to be very quick. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. If you do that all properly, you can let go, like so, and the mercy will activate. So let's see if we can give you a real-time example. We're going to go into the finish him screen. I'm going to get to medium distance, hold L2, 1, 2, 3, and there we go, you guys. It has to be quick and seamless. It's very easy, though. Once you get used to doing mercies, you'll have no problem doing them in the future. It's just the same as performing a fatality. You just have to know the inputs and get familiar with the spacing. Alright folks, so let's move in for our final strike here. Again, all we have to do now that we've performed our mercy is finish the opponent with a back throw, which, as I mentioned before, so long as you don't push any directions, it'll always be a back throw. So let's go for it. Boom. And let the action do its thing. You did all the work already. Boom. Ooh. I love this one. It's not only hilarious, it reminds me of just the classic era of Mortal Kombat back in the arcade era. But I mean, we've also got a nice little Shaolin Monks reference on there. So if you're a member of the PS2 era when these games were famous and popular, this is a very nice reference here. But we actually can do one little modification to this animation here, and I'll show you exactly how to do that right now. Alrighty folks, so assuming you are here to learn the alternate animation, that also assumes you have already learned how to do this brutality. If not, go back a couple minutes, but otherwise, we are right here, we already did our mercy, and we're moving in for that final hit. If you are on the PlayStation, after that arcade machine comes down, you can push forward, R2, and the X button, or on the Xbox, you can push forward, right trigger, and the A button, and you should be able to get a little bit of an extra animation with the arcade machine. So here we go, you guys. And do keep in mind, when we do this back throw, as you can see, forward has now changed to left. So we're waiting for the arcade machine to come down. We're pushing forward, R2, X. Boom. There we have it, you guys. We can open up the arcade machine and actually see the head of our opponent stored inside. So I thought that was a really, really cool little extra tidbit, and you don't have to do it at all, but if you want to maybe flaunt a little extra violence in front of your opponent, there you go. There's a method to do it. Alright everybody, so next up is the flyby brutality. Now, this one is insanely easy, also a little insanely spammy if you ask me, but hey. Essentially, your goal is to perform 10 flying kicks during rounds 1, 2, or 3, and then you want to make sure that your final hit itself comes from yet another flying dragon kick. Let's go ahead and show you guys exactly what this should look like. Alrighty folks, so the flying dragon kick, very popular move, back forward A or back forward X, and it should look just like that. So that was 1, there's 2, there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now, the reason I showed you all that is just because, again, I don't know. I think it's a little bit spammy. It's a little weird. I'm sure if you're a good player, you can definitely spread your kicks out a little bit more evenly throughout the matches. But again, there we go, you guys. 10 flying dragon kicks. Let's move on to our finishing move. Okay, everybody, moving in for that final strike here. Once again, you want to make sure to perform 10 flying dragon kicks. They do not all have to connect. You just have to perform them. And then make sure your final hit itself comes from yet another flying dragon kick. Let's do it, you guys. Back forward A or back forward X. And if it all works out, it should look just like that. This is a really nice one. Again, I feel that the criteria they give you is a little spammy, and like that's not necessarily on the player's fault. That's more on the developer's kind of choices. I will give them some leeway because they don't ask you for them to hit. You just have to perform them. But still, I mean, if you start seeing people spamming flying dragon kicks, it can get annoying, even if it's you or the opponent. One way or another, it's a little spammy in my opinion. But the payoff, very well worth it. This is one of the cooler animations Liu Kang has in terms of his violent Shaolin powers, so there we have it. Next up, folks, we have the Chosen One Brutality. Now this one actually will require 2 moves in your arsenal, and those are the Dragon Fire ability and the Nunchaku Flurry ability. So, as usual, make sure you've got these set up if you want to perform this brutality. As for the criteria itself, it's pretty straightforward. All you want to do is activate that Dragon Fire ability, and then make sure, while that buff is active, your final hit comes from a Nunchaku Flurry. Let me show you guys what this should look like. Alrighty folks, so we're going to be starting off with Dragon Fire first, and that is down back B or down back circle. And that looks just like that. Fiery feet, fiery fists, and that means your attacks are buffed for a short period of time. Next up, we want to talk about the Nunchaku stance, that is down back Y or down back triangle, and that should look something like that. However, we need to push a follow-up button to make it do something more. You have a couple options for those buttons. The one we're focusing on today is either going to be X on the Xbox or square on the PlayStation, and that'll activate our Nunchaku Flurry. So again, we want to get the stance open with down back Y or down back triangle, and then push X or square, and there you go, you guys. That's the Nunchaku Flurry. From there, we want to put it all together. So here we go. We're going to go Dragon Fire, Nunchaku stance, and then Nunchaku Flurry. Easy enough, guys. All you have to do is get used to activating that fire, get used to activating that stance, and then moving into the Nunchaku Flurry, and you'll have no problem performing this brutality. Let's move on to our final hit. Alrighty folks, so assuming you have all of this down, you should have no problem going in for your final hit. One more reminder, we want to activate the Dragon Fire. While that's active, head into Nunchaku stance, and then activate the Nunchaku Flurry. Let's put all those together, and it should look just like this, you guys. Oh, beautiful. It's not necessarily crazy violent, but again, this definitely fits into one of the more stylish brutalities. It looks really good, and just the whole new theme of giving characters weapons in this game, especially like someone like Liu Kang, some really cool nunchucks. I really like it. I like how they kind of brought back the classic idea of every fighter having some sort of knowledge with different weapons. So it was cool for me to see this one in there, but let's move on to our final brutality. Alrighty everybody, here we are with today's final brutality, Classic Kicks. Now, in order to perform this one, all you have to do is finish your opponent with a towards throw, or as I call them, a forward throw, and while that is happening, you want to push forward, down, back, up, forward, or as I will call something like that, a roll. But I'll make that more clear in a moment. Let's hop into our demonstration. Now, as we talked about earlier in this tutorial, if you just push L1 or left button, you will always get a back throw. However, we obviously want a forwards throw or a towards throw, whatever your preference to call it, in this situation. Now, to do that, you still want to push L1 or left bumper, but instead, walk towards your opponent or be pushing forward at the very moment that you're going for this throw. And if you do that proper, as you can see, that is what the forward animation should look like. So one more time, you're moving towards your opponent, you go for the throw, and again, that can either be the arcade style button throw if you prefer square and X or X and A, or it can also just be L1 or left button. Again, it's all about what you prefer to play with. Now, the next tip I'm going to offer may help some people, or maybe not so much others, but essentially, again, we have to push forward, down, back, up, forward during this final animation. Now, the way I like to show you guys is, again, we would push forward, down, back, up, forward. Or in my case, I would take my thumb and push forward, down, back, up, forward. But instead, I'm just going to roll it. I'm going to be rolling my thumb, starting on the forward position, and you just roll a circle. And you can just spam these during that final animation, and it should guarantee you get that brutality. Alright everybody, so we're moving in for our final strike here. Again, you want to finish the opponent with a towards throw or a forwards throw, however you prefer to pronounce it. And then we want to make sure we push forward, down, back, up, forward, or as I like to call it, the roll. I roll my thumb right around. Same can be done if you use the stick. I'm a D-pad style player, but here we go, you guys. We're doing a forwards throw. I'm rolling that D-pad. Boom. Boom. Beautiful. Beautiful. And as I said, when you're doing this, I like to just spam that circle because it's one of the more harmless spams. It's not like you're spamming an attack or anything. You're just spamming an input to help you guarantee that you get this brutality. So again, I take my thumb, roll it right around, and I find that always guarantees. Just roll circles till that damn thing activates. If it don't activate, something's wrong. But chances are, from my experience, as long as you use the roll, you'll always get this brutality, no problem. That all said, you guys, thank you very much for joining today. Let's move on to our final closing words. Alrighty, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me today. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the tutorial as much as I enjoyed putting it together. It really does mean a lot to have an audience like you guys. I really do appreciate you. It always inspires me to just keep making more videos, whether it be strictly Mortal Kombat, whether it be our streams. It's all fun for me, and I just love having a little bit of a community to interact with, of which we all share the same interests. So, again, thank you guys very much. If you liked the video, feel free to reflect that down below, either in the form of a like or a comment. And if you didn't like things, maybe dislike the video or leave me a constructive comment of criticism. Let me know what you didn't like, what you might like to see that's different. Otherwise, if you're new to the channel, haven't subscribed yet, feel free to do so and turn on notifications so you guys can find out exactly when more videos like this go live. Once again, you guys, thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and hopefully we will see you on the next video. Until then, as always, remember, stay safe and stay happy. Adios.